Hello and welcome to dry and sunny Albert Park in Melbourne, Australia for the third round of the Academy Series at GPVWC in 2024. I'm David Jundt and Edward Hunter will be with me soon. Right now we're in the qualifying session by now, and the first few laps are being set as we're about a few minutes in. Currently we have Kasper Kuritz on pole with a 34.668, continuing his good form from the previous round, as are people like Kurt Rochdiaf, there in third, while Mr. Gusowski is from Poland is with us today. I think he's previously been driving here, but I'm not so sure. Here we have Max Heyman, also back from the last round. The German trying his best here in Academy. Let's see what he will set for also lap time in the first sector. He is improving on his own lap time. A difficult track now. Oh, he's abandoning the lap. Probably not fast enough for his liking. Here's Janusz Pano, currently also on a green sector for himself. Personal best. Let's see. Australia, the modern Albert Park is a bit more difficult to get right. As you can see here, the left-right is still the same, but you arrive with much more speed into it than before. This turn was also widened. I think it was turn 13. Do you have more entry speed, more chances to outbrake somebody? And he's still slightly improving, it looks like. Could be up to P6 for now. Maybe a bit higher if he can keep it up. Very nice line here. Can be difficult. Car is a bit tricky to drive. And he set a 36, but seems like there's no improvement so far. Kurt Rochdiaf finishing a lap. Slightly losing out the middle sector, probably made a mistake. But fourth for now. Kasper Kuritz still on pole, sorry. There's Matthew Maple. Oh, Maple, I keep getting that wrong now. It's not Maples here. One of the, as we talked about, a returning face, a very from the very past of the league, but nice to see him again here in the very striking green version of the Academy skin. Let's see his first sector time coming into the quick right-hander. You got to be very close to the inside here and hug it tightly and try not to run wide, because it's very difficult with the car balance handling to get a good exit speed there without losing the car, and you don't want, of course, to get a cut on the outside. Then a long and very long run in the Academy car into the fast left right-hander. Yeah, very nice to the inside. Maybe a bit too much here, but looks nice and dandy there. Now heading down to turn 13 again. Make a wide entry. Wide and inside and out. Yeah, not too bad. Probably a bit slow, but very nicely taken. Doing the same here, hug the inside curb, then maybe get a bit further, carry a bit more speed, go as deep as you can, go to the inside. Ooh, slide oversteer moment, still looking good though. Very nicely exited here, and down the start finish straight, and we get a 140, I think it was 144, yeah. P12 for now, 1.3, it's probably a slow lap by him. Hadn't quite checked there. Gusowski still in second, as seems Kuritz gained a bit. Went a bit up on a 34.4, indeed. Maciej Sander. Currently sitting in 9th place. As we have James Knox, one of the standing out drivers so far this season, has also made his debut in the Academy team in the FS2 round and already taken some very nice points, as he is currently in 5th place, which is a bit surprising. He's got a bit of experience over some of the other drivers here, as he's taking part, as I said. So it's a bit surprising that he's a bit over 4/10 down on Kuritz. Oh, Cesare Riso, new face if I remember right, getting very wide there. Nearly losing the car, but just gathering it up, but looks like he decided, yeah, I'm gonna go back to the pits, as you can do in Academy. There is Domenico Scarpelli. See if the Italian has a good lap here. Yeah, up on the first sector. Not too tight, not too wide here. Parking the inside again on this long run can be a very long time if you sit in this car. Hitting something like, I'm not sure, like 270, 80, 90, I'm not sure anymore. I should have known. I've driven this car before. Ooh. But bit unsure here. On the edge of adhesion here. Again, nice. Outside inside line, perfect. They're doing the same here again. See if he can keep it together. Yes, oof. Bit off on the AstroTurf. Could still be okay. Lost just very little in the middle sector. Could still be an improvement here. Maybe aiming for the P6 of Panasenko here. And it's a 35-0 and it puts him in 7th. Taking the purple car. Currently a bit down in the first sector. Here coming to the tricky part of the track, it's really easy to lose the car. Having made my own experiences with it, it is very a challenge to drive, so hats off to anybody that can drive it very fast. Again here, most people seem to be acquainted well with turn 13, very good lines there. He also very nicely still keeps 2 wheels on the track. Oof, very tight line, bit of the sausage curbs on the inside, but still looks okay. Lost a bit in the middle sector, but it still looks like it could be difficult. Yeah, it wasn't quite enough. The last sector just lost out too much and was a bit slower. Still not too bad of a lap. Gert Ordjaaf here, currently in 5th, as I'm being as Mr. Edward Hunter is now with me, I hope.
You're correct. Hello.
You're just coming in right at the you're just coming in at the right time. With just like 4 minutes 30 from the end, as Gert Ordjaaf just finished his lap here and I think didn't improve.
Yep, there's James Knox, the winner last time out at Istanbul, of course, in the race 2 event there. Oh no, he was 2nd, wasn't he? Yeah, he runner-up, I should say, in both of the last 2 races, and he was on the podium in Bahrain too. Look at only 1,000th up in the middle sector though on his personal best, so he is struggling a little bit more in qualifying here. Let's see if he can get onto the 2nd row from 6th as he powers towards the line. Oh, it's pole position. There we go. Rather an amazing final sector. What was that? Only margin to make
similar, very similar sectors it seems. So just the one tiny big improvement already made him jump to the top.
Little mistake there from Matthias Gazowski from Hyperion, of course. The FS1 driver last season is Casper Curtis. Has set a purple first sector, but not quite as... It was very, very close in the middle sector, but not quite as strong as his previous best. So it's going to have to be quite a final sector. Look at that gap. Is it 12 hundredths of a second between himself and James Knox then? So Casper has to pull it out the bag here. Looks neat and tidy in the final sector. Let's see if that Black Academy car can snatch pole position back in its favour. Oh no.
Looked like he actually slowed down and took a run for a new lap.
Mega first sector for Lopez. Sorry, David. The Lopez set a mega first sector, but unfortunately the last 2 were not quite as strong then, so he only stays 5th then. Look, 1,000th of a second behind Gazowski. So everyone down from 1st to 11th is within a second of one another, which is pretty rare for Academy, and it's only 1200th. So taking pole position is Rizzo. Finds himself spinning around the Cesare.
Yeah, that happens if you take too much of the inside anti-cut.
And there's Seva Panasenko, former FS2 driver for, was it no, not Optimal, it was, what team am I thinking of that Panasenko drove for last year? Was it Hut Performance? It might have been a couple of different teams that Seva drove for. The, oh, is he, what word? Isn't he from Israel? He's an Israeli driver, of course. He races under that license, of course. So he's a good first sector.
VMS Sunnit, it's racing.
Yeah, VMS, that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, he did very, very well for VMS. Actually won reverse grid race at Spa last year, wasn't it, for the Dutch team?
Yep.
I knew it was a Dutch team. I couldn't remember which one. I did 2 other FS2 Dutch teams from last season, and none of them were VMS, because, of course, VMS had moved up to FS1, as we see Curtis, 1:34.8. So he was 4 tenths off of Knox's pole time there, and really hustling the car through turn 1. There's Benton Ryder, who's all setting personal bests in the first 2 sectors. This could get him into top 6, top 7 sort of territory here for Benton Ryder. Benton Reader, I should say.
Yeah, which would be much more like his expectations and his possible pace. I know he can be very fast on a good day, so we'll see if he can get into the top 10 here.
Yeah, looks tidy so far. Setting himself up with plenty of space, braking nice and early, and then getting on the power as early as he can for the final 2 corners Prost, and then turn 16. Now it's just a power towards the line. 132, 133, 134, 35, 2. There we go. So he just about sneaks into the top 10 there. Fantastic effort there from Daniel.
Indeed, as we're looking at Joshua Dexter here, who's already been driving in an FS2 round as well. And I think he's also scored some points.
He did, yeah. Him and his teammate James Knox both scored quite a lot of points. Both finished in the top 10, I think, in both races in the FS2 opener, didn't he? As we look at Gazowski crossing the line with 15 seconds to go, moves up to 4th. So he's got a nice gap to Lopez there. I say gap, but it's very, very slight. There's Knox's purple in both sectors, but not by much then. It's on a knife edge here, whether he can pull away from Casper Curtis and secure that pole position. So excellent driving from the Brit. The car, just about able to save any minor slide and overcorrection there, as now it's only the power to the line that he has to do. Can James knock it out of the park here? No, slightly slower in the final sector then, so 134.471 is his best effort. Lopez, he is set the purple first sector though. Can he keep this momentum up, get himself just sneaking onto the second row? It's going to be tight between himself and Gazowski then. Just the front of the line to go, David.
Yeah, looking really neat and tight there. Maybe, can he?
Oh, it's third.
Third, nice.
We go 134.5 then, so 2 tenths off pole position. Cracking lap. Oh, just a tenth actually. And now here's Scarpelli, team owner of Apex GP. What can the Italian do?
Ooh.
4th on the grid. There we go. So that experience coming in handy. He sets exactly the same time as Panasenko to 3 decimal places. There's Rotyarv. Oh, he's not had a good middle sector. 3 tenths off. I don't think Rotyarv is going to get himself back into the top 6 here. It's looking like a bit of a forlorn hope for him, unfortunately.
Maybe he can still improve by 1 place. It was so close with Guzowski. But he needs to nail it here now. Let's see.
Oh,
4th. Nice.
Purple final sector. Wow. Oh, and the Gazowski's lost his front wing, so he will not be improving. But to be fair, he was 28 seconds off in the first sector alone, so that in itself tells the story. But wow, there we go. That late effort from the Estonian Rotyarv gets him just onto the second row there. So we've got 4 cars just under 2 tenths apart. Well, 6 cars 2 tenths apart from each other. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, to be honest, I expected Knox to do well, but he came alive at the end of the session there. So
shall I just go through the order then, because I've just jumped in here. So James Knox gets pole position from Casper Curtis by 12 hundredths of a second then. 134.471 is the pole time. Then Junio Lopez is in 3rd position. Kurt Rotyarv will start the race from 4th with that late effort. Then it is Domenico Scarpelli in 5th ahead of Seva Panasenko with exactly
sets 7th fastest time. Joshua Dexter in 8th. Maciej Sandak in 9th, 7 tenths off from the best, and 10th is Cesare Rizzo with a 35.202.
Sorry
In
about that, I
11th,
must
we have
disconnected.
Daniel Benton-Reader. 12th is Ugo Sorzio, which is probably one of the first times we've seen him. 13th is Matthew Maple. 14th, Mano Mandikandan. 15th, Max Heyman. 16th, th is Caroline Harvik, continuing another top 20 result in qualifying. And 10th is Dan Teen. Still got that weird character in the name. 21st is Christoph Pietschikolan. 22nd is Lano Spino. 23rd, Martin Riedberg. 24th, Alice Stone. 25th is Louis Smith. 26th, Julian Kerr. And 27th, and what seems like the last qualifying driver today, Joao Fernandez. So, let's
nice
see.
to handle there, David.
No problem.
You hear me?
Yeah, I do. Seems like
Okay,
Ed has
that's
some
good, yeah.
slight technical issues here, so I'm trying to
I
help
was
out a
getting
bit.
dropped out. It was a bit annoying there. Yeah. In fact, I might disconnect and come in just so we can sign off for the break if that's okay. But but anyway, there we go. A great lap by James Knox, and with Micah, a full-time FS2 driver now, he's very much the form man in Academy, isn't he? And so it's not surprising to see him on pole, but just only by a slender margin, as it was very, very close in qualifying. But Knox really had to nail that lap over Curtis, didn't he? So it's the 2Ks, Knox and Curtis.
Indeed, I was just thinking that I was expecting Knox to take it with much bigger margin since he got the experience over some of the other drivers, which could also be counting for Joshua Dexter. But it was very close, and I'm expecting that Kuritz might keep him very busy over the course of at least the first race.
Was it Kuritz who went for the really, really low rear wing in Istanbul as well, which meant he was a rocket down the straights, but really struggled in the corners? It was him
I
or
think that was
Rotyar,
him.
wasn't it? I always got the two mixed up. I'm pretty sure it was Rotyar who went for a more conventional setup, and he was complaining about Curtis, this bruising by him.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see if this is like a bit of continuation at this track here, like you want stability, but at the same time on the fast bits you kind of want a bit more lower wing to overtake. And if
Right,
you see
well-
that Grosjean will have the same.
So we're qualifying done and dusted then. We've only got 2 races left to go. I say only, but it's going to be quite the challenge for our drivers then. So I think, David, it might be a good time to go to a very, very quick break. We'll be back in a few minutes' time for race 1 of our Academy's, well, actually it's round 3, but the first of our 2 races here in Melbourne, Australia. Don't go anywhere. James Knox starts on pole. Hello and welcome back to Albert Park in Melbourne, Australia for 2 races in 12 laps each. We're going to see loads and loads of actions at this 5.3 kilometer circuit. My name is Edward Hunter. I'm joined in the commentary box by David and of course broadcast director Remco de Zeeuw, who's done a fabulous job, and David has done a fabulous job while I've been away to cover pretty much the first bit of qualifying, which is probably the like you said. I came for the exciting bit because first bit is where everyone's getting warmed up. But this is going to be really, really interesting because we've seen changes in the grid. It's not quite the same Academy lineup at the start of the season then. A couple of people missing and changing. Here we go. James Knox then starts on the front row with Casper Curtis alongside him. And it is Junio Lopez, the previous winner, alongside Kurt Rotjard on row 2. Row 3, Domenico Scarpelli in front of Seva Panasenko. Then row 4 is headed by Matthias Gazowski from Hyperion, ahead of former winner Joshua Dexter. Row 5, Masip Sandak ahead of Cesar Rizzo. And row 6, Daniel Benton Ryder and Ugo Sorzio. Benton Reader, I should say. Afi Maple heads row 7 ahead of Mano Manikanden. Then row 8 has Max Hyman and Christian Vazdar occupying it. Row 9, Massimo Belloni ahead of Yanis Pano. Then row 10, it's Caroline Harvick from Underbird Simulation ahead of Dan Pham. Krzysztof Iziskolan is 21st ahead of Lanor Spinor. Martin Reitberg is 23rd ahead of Alice Stone in 24th. Then in 25th, it's Louis Smith ahead of Julian Kerr. And bring up the rear, it's Hal Fernandez in 27th position.
The game's having a bit of troublesome time displacing those special characters, so that's why it seems weird there, as we are now looking to come to the end of the formation lap soon, as we're seeing especially James Knox here warming up his tires really well.
I thought it was heading to the wall for a second there.
Yeah. It did look like that, and the drivers behind him got maybe a bit confused by all the swerving.
I think Rotjard got a bit excited because he thought, oh, I'm going to inherit the lead here before the end of the formation lap, because Rotjard, we saw in Istanbul how quick he was in a straight line. It's likely he's got a similar setup as well. He was really quick in the first sector on that run into turn 3. So James Knox, he knows he'll have to pull a big enough gap to avoid getting into trouble here, won't he?
Yeah, I'm expecting more bit of the same. I'm gonna see if anybody can hold on to those two, but I'm gonna be interested to see how it's gonna be in a straight line, because the cars are naturally without DRS, and the slipstream here can be quite huge. So we will see probably some moves down the back straight into the left-right hander, as we're now all more or less set for the lights to come on.
Yep. So in a few moments' time, we'll get going here down under in Melbourne, Australia, for our Academy round, of course, that starts off the week before we do Super Lights and Super League on Tuesday and Thursday, respectively. Junio Lopez has got a lovely view of the 2 leaders there. You will see on our right is Casper Curtis. In front of us is James Knox on pole position. The lights coming on, and when they go out, we will be underway then for race 1 here in Melbourne, Australia, and Knox has really got a good start off the line there, but Curtis tucks into the slipstream as they flow into turn 1, and somehow nobody in the top 10 bumps into one another as they now do the long run into turn 3, and Curtis has actually got Lopez trying to pull alongside him using a little bit of slipstream from James Knox. Or is Junio Lopez going to try and go all the way around the outside and makes contact with Casper Curtis? That didn't quite work out for him, David. And now he finds himself at the mercy, or lack thereof, of Kurt Rotjard.
Yeah, it's always difficult when you get out of shape in these cars, as you're just about slotting in behind. Here you need to hook tight the inside, but they don't quite make that happen. So he's already losing out several car lengths, as he's got 3 cars right beneath him.
Yeah.
Behind
so Rotjard
him,
got delayed there, didn't he? And that now means we've got 2 rows. Here we go. Rotjard, Scarpelli, Panasenko, and Gazowski come towards turn 11 almost as one. And somehow Rotjard holds that position ahead of Scarpelli. And oh, look behind, somebody going off track. I think that was a Benton Reader. Oh no, it was Seva Panasenko, I think, actually. That just did a little bit of grass cutting on the exit of 12. Then into 13 they arrive. And So the order up front pretty much as it was on the grid. So Knox leads the first lap ahead of Casper Curtis. Then it is Junio Lopez, Kurt Rotjard, Domenico Scarpelli rounds out the top 5. Then Sever Panasenko, Matthias Gazowski, Benton Reeder, who gets a slow run. And now up the inside. Is that going to be Rizzo just snatching ninth position away from him as they all squabble behind Joshua Dexter. So Benton Reeder down to 10th then, just ahead of Maciej Sandak.
I saw there was a late move as they're side by side into turn 1. Oh, nicely held there. No big off too. I just saw that Benton Reeder had that. I think he had a small tap with somebody that attacked on the inside, or he was the attacker. So he lost out a bit as Sandak is now attacking, and there's another attack behind them. Purple car, that is Heyman and Sorsio then.
Oh, Heyman, sorry. Heyman passing Sorsio, sorry. As Sandak attacks Rizzo. Again, it's sort of the way of Albert Park, isn't it? Because it's such a high-speed circuit at certain points. If you get held up, someone makes a mistake in front of you, you can find yourself defending position from the people behind because you had to get on the brakes or lift off a bit rather than attacking the person in front of you if you time it wrong. But Curtis, look at this, still 5/10 behind James Knox. And again, it's really that middle sector and sort of the first sector where he sort of gained a little bit on the straights, isn't he? So James Knox is having to do a lot of the work in the corners, but he has got the fastest lap to his name at the end of the first lap. Let's see if that's still the case right now, because Curtis looking menacing at this phase.
Oh, Heyman's
in trouble.
Oh no, we have already got a retirement too with Lewis Smith. So, could be the second, potentially. Here, Mano Mandikandon in 13th place so far. Looking good. Following Sorsio right now for P12. As James Knox battering in the fastest lap so far, 35.2, which is very fast when I compare with FS2. They're all that already drove like 35.1 as there's the attack.
Manikandin then up the inside into turn 1. And nothing that Sorsio could really do. So Ugo finds himself being overtaken around the outside there. So well judged, well executed by Manikanda, but now he's got to defend into turn 3, moves to the middle of the road, follows that line, goes way too deep, and finds himself facing the wrong way in the gravel. So Manikanden, who had just set up the move, gets way too hot there and now tries to rejoin, and is just about avoided by everyone there. So slightly messy moment there for Manikanda. In fact, very messy. And now this opens up Pano to attack Sorsio himself. So all this has prevented Dan Fan with his badly spelled name in the graphics into 15th, which is the reverse grid pole position, of course. And here's Matthew Maple, how dearly he fancies getting into that position himself, like we saw in Istanbul, side by side with that must be Spinner that he's just dispatched of down the straight there. So good straight line speed from the green, bright green Academy car of Matthew Maple. Up ahead of him, that's Dan Fan going a little bit wide as we see, something happening up ahead. It looks like Gazowski and Dexter swapping positions then in the battle for 7th very briefly. There they are. Also, Rotjard is still challenging Lopez for that third position behind as well.
Some more yellow coming through. And it's gone again, so... Rizzo, I think, is dropping now. Probably him. Yeah, looks like it.
So that puts Matthew Maple into reverse group pole then, as there's Joshua Dexter still challenging the similar liveried Academy car of Gazowski, the purples, in 7th and 8th, of course. Rizzo now drops behind Alice Stone and Massimo Belloni and Julian Kerr as well. That's really not gone to plan for him. There's Matthew Maple. He's not content with 15th. He wants to snatch 14th from Dan Fan. He might just be able to do so. He was quite a few tenths faster the previous lap, 138.3 compared 150. Well, actually, Matthew Maple set a 152 according to this. So actually, he set a very poor lap according to the timing screen as I say that. And certainly if he goes off track like that, he could find himself coming into the pits to do a drive-through, which is what we saw, catching out quite a few of the top runners in FS2 as well. Fell foul of that in their race last week too.
Indeed, we had like Tuomela and Magnusson and even Maika having drive-through penalties before the end of the race.
Most painful.
Yeah, true. But the talking point of that race was also like the dirty air causing trouble, since like the slipstream is huge down the back straight, but if you arrive in the turn, there's also a lot of dirt here. So as you can see in the fast right-hander, people keep going off there into the grass and maybe spinning. So you win some, you lose some. It's here right now, the theme. But we'll see who can adjust best to that, stay close, and then get past on the slipstream, as Matthew Maple is attempting that right now, as he's
Dan Fan defending thin air, really, down halfway down the start finish straight. Matthew Maple has a little nibble up the inside, but Dan Fan just completely sees that one off, and now they've slowly caught up to Krzysztof Piskolan, whose name I will eventually figure out how to pronounce. But Piskolan just holding on to 30th for the moment by half a second, and then Maple another 10th behind. Dan Fan just all over him like a cheap suit at the moment, but also close is this lead battle. Curtis has gained another 10th on James Knox, so Knox has got to keep his wits about him. Scarpelli going around the outside of Kurt Rotyard, so Rotyard, rather than making ground, has lost it here as Dexter is going side by side with Gazowski in the background and having to back out there into turn 11. And now look at this horrible run from Rotyard, and now the two purple cars of Dexter and Gazowski get through in reverse order. Dexter tries to go underneath Gazowski into 13. Wow, what a opportunistic move there for Joshua Dexter up to P6 then. So a brilliant move from the British driver.
Very nice. Taking some, putting the practice from FS2 now also down here to get into the top 6 for now. But as we can see, it's really troublesome with balancing and in the dirty air. And then if you want to balance the car left, right, the weight transfer is catching several people out, and he nearly went off there, but he was lucky not to lose it. I remember people like Mikael Tuomala last week, they were a bit less lucky and actually lost their front wing there, so it's just a position loss, but we'll see if he can recover, as we're back to Maple running wide, trying again to put pressure on Dan Tyne there, but we got to be careful. I think several people also got caught out the turn 1 section about track cutting. I'm quite sure there were some people that gained like 1.5 points per cut at the first first and second turn combination, and you quite easily accumulate something as somebody is Spinor is hitting the wall there.
Oh, there's another one goes right into the wall.
Oh my goodness, Piescolon.
Yeah, Piskolan is out of the race then in dramatic circumstances at turn 6. No front wing, no rear left tyre, and in fact it's disappeared up the road somewhat, and he's had to wisely retire back to the pit lane. But a huge crash for Krzysztof, and that's a shame because he was looking good for the reverse grid until that moment.
This was really a copy-paste moment by Luca Gray, also from the FS2 race, because it happened nearly the same way. He lost it into the inside barrier, and the car just disintegrated on him. But yeah, too bad for him that his race is coming to an end here. As we're looking at P7 now, again, Guzowski, following Dexter here still, Scarpelli.
Yeah, they have. So Dexter's been setting 1:36.1. Gazowski as well, following it closely in the wheel tracks, as we see yellow in the final sectors. Now Matthew Maple makes a mistake and actually finds Mano Manikandan getting past him for that final reverse grid spot. So that's so crucial, because this is the difference between starting on pole for the reverse grid and starting 16th essentially, which is what Matthew Maple is facing at the moment. Kasper Kuritz sets a 33.8 Sports 6, which is the fastest first sector of the race, as James Knox had just been starting to pull away to the tune of 0.6 of a second. So he's definitely not given up, has he? But unfortunately for him, James Knox has got his number, absolutely. And whenever he needs that a little bit of breathing space, he's able to pull it out. And Kasper Kuritz has just got no answer at the moment.
Yeah, it's a bit like, it looks a bit like the, slide off. Both of them looking up there. Even Kuritz copying that and also losing time again to him. But it reminds me a bit of the race between Micah and Knox at the last race, where Knox was fast, but he just couldn't make any inroads on him, and they are kind of a stalemate here as well between those two. As Spinor currently 50th. I think he's lost out place to Manikandan by now.
Has got past him into turn 11. 5 laps to go then, and Spinot has just got to stay where he is to start on reverse grid pole, but he's got Matthew Maple 9 tenths down on him, and Lenoir going a little bit wide there as here we go. They're held up by a back marker, and Kuritz is going to try and go around the outside into turn 3 on James Knox, but Knox just loses the back end. Through goes Casper Kuritz. So opportunity Knox, but not for James Knox, but Casper Kuritz then. So Casper takes the lead. James down to second. And who was that in the green cut? Is that Rizzo that just got completely in James Knox's way and potentially has cost him the win here?
Yeah, maybe got caught out, by the closing speed of those people like setting absolutely competitive FS2 times. So, of course, it's
comes Maple at 3. Yep. Round the outside goes Lenoir Spinor, and Lenoir, the Spaniard, I believe, holds on for the time being, but they're still side by side into 7 and into a 5 and 6. But Spinor just absolutely resolutely holding his line on the outside and getting the exit right, and nowhere for Matthew Maple to take advantage of. So a good attempt, but Maple didn't quite.
He stopped the place to Panasenko now. He stopped 2 actually. He's down to 4th now. I think he's gotten a bit.
Has he cut 11 and 12 maybe? Is that what's happened here? Has he done Oliver Taras from the FS2 race and just completely dropped from 2nd down to 4th? Yeah, because that puts Lopez and Panasenko onto the podium now, as you say. So James Knox, who was controlling this race, undone by just 1 back marker getting in the way at exactly the wrong moment. And as you say, completely seems to have lost his composure. We don't seem to have any replays, so fortunately we can't see quite what happened to James Knox. But so important now. Scarpelli only 1.7 behind, and then there's these two, Dexter and Gazowski, who they've started to lose touch with Scarpelli just a little bit, and now are starting to just worry about each other more than anything then as we go into the final closing stages of the race. But look at this. Casper Kuritz is going to take his first win in Academy as things stand, 3.3 seconds ahead of Junio Lopez.
I just call these two the Purple Pals then, because they have just been together all race now, follow each other, so it looks really like that. Kuritz now, of course, he's got like a gap of last time about 3.3 seconds. It looks kind of stable, so it could be in his grasp, but never say anything like that. You could jinx somebody, and we don't want to do that because I've done that countless times before. As Gusowski's really flying over the anti-cuts there, but no harm, no foul.
Yeah, caution to the wind. As here's Maple, he's not given up on that 15th position, but Sibinor has actually defended very, very well here, hasn't he? I think Maple is slightly faster, but Sibinor showing he's no lightweight here in Academy. Absolutely, another purple car impressing us today. So we see Vazdar in trouble. Looks like Caroline Harvig relieves him of 18th position then. So Harvig putting in a decent showing a little bit further down. There is Vazdar. Is that car looking a little bit wounded perhaps? Because Caroline seems to have made short work of him here. Oh, no, it looks okay. So that's a legit move from Caroline then. So that's good to see, because those two have come together in the past, as I've mentioned, and looks like they're having a nice, clean battle. Caroline just starting to escape up the road, which will frustrate Christian Vazdar, team owner of KV86 Powerhouse, who caused 1 with Patrick Magnussen last Tuesday in FS2 then. But Caroline Harvey goes a little bit wide, and that creates an opportunity for Vazdar then. So Caroline is going to be a bit compromised as Vazdar loses it himself through turn 16 then. So nip and tuck between these two in the battle for 18th position. But meanwhile, up front, the closest battle a little bit further up as Vazdar is just trying to move around in Caroline's mirrors there, absolutely threatening her. But Caroline, just to her credit, just not being intimidated whatsoever. But here comes Christian into the slipstream, up the inside, into turn 3. Caroline, just turns around the outside. So Caroline showing zero fear whatsoever. Fabulous stuff as a completely unbiased Thunderbird Simulation team owner with an emergency driver in this race, of course.
He's slightly unhappy, it seems.
Like Christian has a bit of a grudge against Caroline now.
Seemed all fine to me. I think there was no contact, but he had a very nice...
Not a great run.
Yeah, there it comes.
Here comes
As
Christian.
I said,
and he's got the inside for 11 here. And Panasenko in the pits from third position, sorry. So that promotes James Knox back onto the podium. So Panasenko cuts the track and on the penultimate lap comes in to serve a pit lane penalty. As we look at Caroline Harvick now, trying to get back on song with Vazda, who now defends into 13. So Vazda is clearly a bit worried about Caroline. She just spins up the rear tires. Caroline really determined to get back into the top 18 here. Runs a little bit wide, but no danger there. So where has Panasenko reemerged? 9th behind Maciej Sandak then, but ahead of Daniel Benton-Rieder then. So Panasenko could make up some ground. James Knox, though, he's dropped. I think maybe James has burnt out his tyres. He's only 6/10 out of Scarpelli, who's got Dexter 7/10 behind him. So that's a good battle as Caroline. Oh, last minute switch to the inside. Their forces Vazda onto the grass a little bit into a mistake there. So starting to put pressure on Chris here. This is a fabulous battle. It's a shame it's only for 18th. As we see Kuritz from the lead get a penalty. Oh my goodness. So Kuritz pushing the limits off track then. And now is Junio Lopez going to inherit the lead here? Kuritz is sure to going to come in to serve that penalty now.
Yes, and if it's the second, oh no, I didn't. Oh, why doesn't he serve it? Oh no, this is going to be bad
because he got the
because
message too late there, or he's just saying I'm going to stay out and hope that I don't get disqualified and that the post-race penalty is lesser than coming into the pits. Maybe that's that he's done the calculations. He's decided that, or he's going to try and serve it on the very, very final lap.
It's the exact opposite.
Michael Schumacher, Silverstone 1998 style, as here comes Maple. He's only got one more lap, but completely forces Sibinor to run as wide as possible and just missing the wall there on the exit of 13 and into 14. The Maple, he's applying pressure. It's working, but somehow Sibinor just resolutely holding firm and refusing to give up that 15th position. If this was an FS2 race, that would be worth 1 point, but it's even more valuable, if anything, because that's reverse grid pole, remember, with 1 lap to go.
I was really looking for it. Maybe it's kind of being, deceptive that they're further away than it looks like. But you always hold your breath.
Cost Maple, didn't it? Because that compromises exit going into turn 3, which would have, if anything, have been a better overtaking spot. But now James Knox struggling to hold onto the podium, looked to be comfortably in the lead and have Kuritz at arm's length. Kuritz potentially is going to lose the win himself, but he's pulled a 7-second gap to Lopez. That's not going to be enough to overcome the penalty that's coming his way. Scarpelli switches to the inside, makes a late dive into turn 13. Side by side they go. Can the Italian snatch the podium away from James Knox? Knox tries to go all the way around the outside. Can he get the inside for turn 15, the corner named after Alain Prost? Yes, he can. Scarpelli hits the side, and Kuritz comes into the pits on the very, very last lap of the race. Very controversial there. So Lopez is going to inherit victory here. There we go. But Knox just holds on to third from Domenico Scarpelli. A valiant effort from Scarpelli, as we see as that Lopez celebrating his unexpected victory there. But where does this drop Kuritz to? It's going to be 9th or 10th here, I think, as we look at Manakanden. He's not given up on Dan Fan, but he is going to have to settle for 13th position then, as we see Sibinor was overtaken by Matthew Maple, but still holds on to reverse grid pole.
I'm going to tell you, just saying again, if you serve it before the last lap, it's just going to be a drive-through. If you serve it afterwards, you're kind of doomed. You're gonna lose more. The R-Factor 2, I think there was one standard setting way back in the past. You would lose a lap. You would basically counted a lap. But here, I don't know, 30 seconds, which is still more than just driving through the pit lane. So
yeah,
it's just
Kuritz tried to be clever there. He should have gone into the pits immediately. He had just about enough time to register that he had the penalty, didn't he? We saw it pop up on screen, but he decided to. He wanted to at least lead up until the very, very end of the very, very final lap. So he pitted at the last possible moment, and it backfired. If anything, he could potentially have come away with a P6, P7 maybe, if he had just come in the lap before. Instead, he comes away outside the top 10 then. So confirmation of the final result. Well, I think second place is a bit inaccurate here. I'll go for what we have on race view then. So Junio Lopez takes victory by 3.2 seconds ahead of James Knox, who inherits P2 somehow, despite those errors. Domenico Scarpelli finishes P3 ahead of Joshua Dexter. Then is Matthias Gazowski in 5th, Kurt Rotjov in 6th, A difficult race for him. Masic Sandak in 7th. Sevapanasenko with that late penalty drops to 8th. Daniel Bentenrieder is 9th. Ugo Sorzio is 10th. Kasper Kuritz from the win down to 11th. Dan Fan is going to inherit 12th position. Ahead of Mano Manikandan in 30th. Matthew Maple will be 14th. Lanor Sibinor inherits a reverse grid pole position, so he will start on the front row with Maple alongside him once more. Martin Reitberg just misses out in 16th by 2.9 seconds to Sibinor. Then there's Christian Vasdar 17th. Caroline Harvig 18th, just half a second behind him. Massimo Belloni is 19th ahead of Julian Kerr. Max Hyman is 21st. And then I believe he is our final finisher then. Our non-finishers include Janos Pano, Cesar Rizzo, Krzysztof Piskalan with that huge crash at turn 6, Alex Stone, Hal Fernandez, and Louis Smith, who didn't even start the race, I think, poor Louis. He did not get very far at all, down in 27th and last, 11 laps down, as the same with Fernandez, actually. So there we go. Lopez takes his second win then in GPVWC Academy in dramatics. We didn't talk a whole lot about Lopez, did we? He was just in third for most of it, minding his own business. And then the two leaders end up destroying their own races, David.
Yeah, I would kind of be interested to see how many cut points he had at the end of the race, since it seemed like a consistent drive by him and he didn't go any unnecessary risk, which kind of... is the opposite of what Kuritz did, because he had like a 5-second gap at the front of the field and then probably either cut like the fast left-right-hander, went too far outside, or maybe on turn 13, but I don't think that was that wide there. So yeah, it's too bad. I mean, he's got a second chance. He's now going to be starting 11th, which puts him reasonably close to the reverse pole, so he's about 5th on the grid, and he could at least still take the race win in the second race. But I thought it was going to be difficult being at the top end with some of the slightly less slower drivers. So we will see if he has enough patience that time to get to the front.
Yes, absolutely. Race 2 will be a real test for those, for likes of Sibinor, Maple, Manikandan, Danfan, Kuritz, and Sorzio, who are going to start in the top 5, each of them. But they are going to have to deal with those leaders, especially the ones out of position. They are really going to... So Kuritz might actually benefit from this, despite... and that might have been why he went into the pits at the end of the final lap. Who knows? We'll have to find out from him afterwards. But... it's going to be a short warm-up, and then race 2 will be underway. So we're going to go on a short break. Don't go anywhere, but it's Lopez that wins race 1 and Sibinor that starts on pole for race 2. Welcome back to Melbourne Albert Park in Australia for the second round of the third event of the GPVWC Academy in 2024. My name is Edward Hunter. I'm still joined by David Jundt in the commentary box and Remco de Zeeuw controlling the cameras beautifully for the broadcast. Race 2 is about to start with Leonor Sibinor on pole position in this reverse grid format. And David, it's going to be a lot of pressure for him to try and stay in a decent position here. How well do you think Leonor can do against the likes of Maple, Manakandin, Fan, and of course Kuritz, who lost that victory late in race 1?
Oh, it's gonna be very difficult. I think he's a Dutch driver. A big task. You know.
I called him Spanish earlier. I apologize for that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was like checking or remembering from before if he had a Dutch flag, but since he had such a memorable name, I think I remember his nationality. But whatever nationality it is, it's gonna be difficult against. I mean, he's got his compatriots from the first race around him that were gonna try to go back ahead of him again. But we'll see how, you know, as I said before, how patient someone like Kasper Kuritz will be to try to get that win that slipped through his fingers in the first race with, well, let's say, it's unfortunate, but in the end it is also kind of self-error, as we're looking at the grid now.
Quickly, David. So Leonor Sibinor on pole position from Matthew Maple on the front row. Manu Menakandin, who leads the second row, ahead of Dan Fan. And is Kasper Kuritz heading row 3 ahead of Ugo Sorcio. Daniel Benton Reeder heads row 4 ahead of Seva Panasenko. Row 5 is Maciej Sandak ahead of Kurt Rotjarv. Then row 6, Maciej Gazowski, the Polish driver, heads Joshua Dexter in 12th. Row 7, Domenico Scarpelli ahead of pole sitter for the first race, James Knox. Then is our race 1 winner, Junio Lopez in 15th ahead of Martin Reitberg. Christian Fasdal will line up 17th ahead of his old rival, Caroline Harvig. Massimo Belloni will start 19th ahead of Julian Kerr. Rounds up the top 20. 21st will be Max Hyman ahead of Janis Pano. And it is Cesar Rizzo, 23rd ahead of Krzysztof Piziskalan. Can he avoid the wall this time? Is that Piziskalan going slowly in the back, or is that Louis Smith? No, it's Alice Stone and Hal Fernandez ahead of him, and Fernandez spins. So it looks like he might start 27th after all if he can't get himself together. And finally in the back, 27th position. Let's hope he goes a bit further and before Louis Smith. Always present, always doing his absolute best in Academy, and he's got some decent finishes. I think top 13, top 12 is Louis Smith's best finish so far. Let's hope he can match that, because certainly got quite a way to go. Maybe a lot of chaos ahead of him if he can stay out of trouble. Fernandez then is going to be the last to make it to the grid. We'll see where he slots in. It's going to be 26th or 27th either way.
I think this might be, unsure, the first time that we've had not a drop in drivers, and we've got like the same 27 as from the first race back in race 2. And I'm also sorry for my boring monologuing as we now heading for the race start.
Oh, not boring at all. Very, very relevant and timely, I think you'll find, David. But look at this. Sibinor then has got Matthew Maple, who, remember in Istanbul last time out in the reverse grid, he absolutely fought for the podium and was just knocked down to, I think, 4th or 5th by the close. Here come the lights then. So who's going to make the best start then for race 2? Is right on board with Kuritz in 5th position. Up ahead, it looks like Sibinor is pulling to the inside to block Matthew Maple. Then Maple, meanwhile, has got Manakandin and Fan goes up the inside of Manakandin into turn 1. So 3 black cars in a row. Look out for Kuritz trying to get side by side with Manakandin for 4th position here. So Manakandin really under pressure here, and battle for second then. Matthew Maple under threat from Dan Fan. Dan Fan snatches second into turn 3. We were not expecting that, as Manakandin slides around in 6th position and makes contact with Panasenko ahead of him. And this means Manakandin is going to be absolutely swallowed up, as they're almost going too wide as they go down into 5 and 6, David.
Oh, 3 wide, nearly there in the right handle. I see a spin, I think, in the background. Oh,
big crash, massive
oh my goodness. And there's a tire and his wings.
A wheel falls off, and Hartman's lost his front wing. Did anybody escape unscathed from that? Looks like Caroline Harvig's dropped to 27th and last. that's not ideal for her. But Dan Fan has snatched the lead from Sibinor up front. Look at this. Horrible steering damage on that green car there. But Sibinor now drops to second as Dan Fan from nowhere has seemingly launched himself forward. And now Kuritz attacks Lanos Sibinor around the outside into 13. Oh, and Sibinor almost pushes Kuritz into the wall. And this creates an opportunity for Maple to get through into third position. Panasenko just denied there, not quite able to take advantage then. But chaotic opening lap. And it looks like Gazowski has retired. Looks like he might not be the only one then. So he'll rush into the pit lane. It looks like Gazowski and Sorzio were the ones who both lost their wheels at turn 6 there. In the melee, there was an absolute melee there.
Seems like we've lost more or less like at least half the field
Knox in the pits.
to damage.
Hyman, Rotjav, Benton Reader. It's like one after the other from 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th. So this is going to drop them all down. Who else is coming in? Is that Louis Smith, I think, coming in? Oh, and another retirement. Pano, I think, retires. Oh, and look at this. Oh, huge train of cars behind Panasenko. Manikandan going up the inside of Kuritz then. So Kuritz, far from making up ground, he's lost 2 positions then in the last half a lap.
I see. He got into that. Oh, but there's still a tire lying.
Manikandan just avoiding the wall there, and then there's a tyre not far off of the racing line there, as you say. So they're going to have to be mindful of that. But now a huge train of cars behind Dan Fan, and they're almost going to go 2 or 3 wide here into turn 11. And who is that? Oh, and Panasenko gets collected there. Who was that? That wasn't Kuritz. That must have been Manikandan who just lost it, and Panasenko, innocent victim of that. That was a little bit clumsy around the outside from Mano Manikandan.
Yeah, if you're going like nearly side by side and on the grass, you're just gone.
Panasenko as well, so he's going to have to come into the pits for a new one. Christian Bastar, the big winner, climbs up to 10th then, having started down in 18th, was it 17th position, wasn't it, on the starting grid. But now Matthew Maple is challenging Sibinor, who's dropped to 8 tenths, I think, behind Dan Fan, who's like really pulled away here. Look, is that him in the distance there? He's more than 8 tenths. He's 2.5 seconds ahead as Maple again denied. And spinning around. And Matthew Maple blows a podium position, drops down to 7th position. And it's going to be almost outside the top 10 here if he's not careful. Horrible rejoin here.
The grass is really sleepy. Oof, just about.
Who's recovering from his own error then, as we see Panasenko finally make it to the pits. So this actually promotes Alice Stone to 14th position then, as Kuritz trying to go around the outside of Sibinor, who's just been swamped constantly under attack. He's not had a minute's peace in this race, has he? And Dan Fan, he must be wondering, it's dreamland for him because he's just pulling away up front. Kuritz finally clears Sibinor like he really ought to have done at the end of the opening lap. Now Scarpelli fancies to go at Maciej Sandak, who tries to swerve across just to not hit the back of Sibinor. Kuritz now needs to escape, and indeed does so. But look at Sibinor swerving all over the place to keep Sandak and Scarpelli at bay. And Joshua Dexter is not far behind either. In fact, sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:36.8 last time round. Dexter is going to be in this podium fight. Scarpelli has a little think about having an attack on Maciej Sandak into turn 13, but there was no room there, was there?
No, man. Just 3 laps in, and I don't know where to look. Like this has been a worse start than the FS2 crash at the beginning of the race, and we've just lost a lot of pass.
Because this is exactly what happened here in the Academy race here last year, race 2. We also saw 5 or 6 cars be taken out, and it happened in the FS2 reverse grid race as well last year too. In fact, if anything, the FS2 race on Tuesday was probably the cleanest of all 4 of those races here at Melbourne. But look at this, Scarpelli's got front row seat to Sandak, trying to go around the outside of Sibinor, who again, he's just had to defend, just like we saw in race 1. And up the inside goes Sandak, as Sibinor goes right off track. Now he's going to re-emerge all alongside Maciej Sandak. Sandak, just threads the needle with the wall. And now Joshua Dexter is going to take advantage of this potentially, because Scarpelli getting very badly held up by Sibinor, who rejoins off track. He could be in trouble for that one.
Yeah. But Spinor, it seems maybe he seems consistent, but he's not got the power out of the car since his car seems a bit understeery. As Dexter is now looking for the slipstream. Can he get himself past? Yes, nice. Just before
There we go.
the left-right section.
3 places lost in quick succession for Lenor Sibinor. That's a shame because we saw him defending from Matthew Maple. So Maple completely spun around and really made a bit of a hash of things. He's still going down in 9th, about 1.2 behind Manu Manikandin. Joshua Dexter is the man on the move at the moment as we look at Maple trying to put pressure on Manikandin. Manikandin breaks a little deep into 13 but recovers well. Fastest lap, Kurt Rotjov down in 19th, recovering from that first lap crash. Him and James Knox down in 19th and 20th, trying to keep going. Looks like Caroline Harvig has got back into the race 2 laps down, which is good to see. So despite, I think she was right at the heart of the massive crash at the beginning. There she is. The steering, it looks okay. So maybe Harvig has just repaired the car and had a very, very long time in the pit lane. So very important for her to just keep pumping in the laps and hope that something happens up ahead, but it's going to be difficult for her. And Fan, by the way, has been caught by Kuritz, who lapped over a second lap faster than him on the previous tour. 1:35.4 for Kuritz, 1:36.8 for Dan Fan. So Dan is going to have to get defensive before too long, surely, David, as Scarpelli and Dexter all over the back of Matthew Sandak in the battle for third.
I would say it would Kaspar probably only take such a run here on this straight to just fly past him.
For Casper as well.
As he is right now. Although Lopez is too, just further down.
Lopez down in 16th, 4.8 seconds behind Max Hyman. So Lopez, who started down in 15th, is having recovered from the accident. I think he's recovered best of all. He had the least damage of all the front runners as Knox steals fastest lap from him. Kuritz already upon Dan Fan, both in the Black Academy car.
Look,
Dan makes a little mistake from 13 up the inside. Casper Kuritz, and Kuritz now once again, for the second race in a row, takes the lead. Now he just has to make sure he doesn't have any silly mistakes here, because he knows why he lost the first race, didn't he? With that track extending. And then round at the final corner, somehow avoids the wall. There's a full 360, but Sandak will go around the outside. Now comes Scarpelli and Dexter then. So there we go. He is still going to be ahead of Lenor Sibinor, but Dan Fan from 2nd to 5th then with one scary underpants ruining moment there, if anything, nothing else. The car, luckily, in one piece, son.
Yeah, that's a nice recovery. Like, you get out there and then you get on the AstroTurf. There's just very little grip. So, yeah, no, really great recovery there. Kept it out, and the other people also avoided him in time, which not always happens. So, a good car control.
If you want to see an example of it going wrong, go back to the FS1 broadcast from last Thursday, and you'll see Matthias Zabinski in the 2023 free race just spinning it into the wall in a very, very similar incident as Hyman. Having just overtaken, been hit in the back there by, that was Alice Stone, getting it all wrong there, and a sorry sight that car looks in the gravel there. That was a little bit clumsy from Alice, I'm afraid to say.
Probably a bit late on the brakes.
Top 15 as well.
Slight miscalculation. Oh, too bad. Like, it can happen so easily if you get like maybe the braking a bit.
And you got to feel bad behind him as well, because he made a really good move there. And Alice Stone, I know she didn't want to be overtaken there, but you got to be careful into turn 1. It catches even the best of them out there, doesn't it? You think of Logan Sargent in the F1 race here last year, one of the free restart. And Sandak spins. Was holding onto the podium for so long, and he's lost it coming out of 15, I think. And that's allowed Sibinor back into the top 5 then, as we see Piziskalan, who crashed in the first race, holding off Manikandin and Matthew Maple here. So is this going to be redemption for Krzysztof Piziskalan? Into turn 1, Manikandin, brushing around the outside. That was very aggressive from Manu Manikandin.
That was nearly tears, because it looked like one could have easily flown across the nose of the other guy.
Stone and Max Hyman just a few moments ago. Here we go, Manikandin up the inside into 3. That's very, very late, and it doesn't quite pay off there. So Piziskalan determined not to be dropped out of the top 7 here. Maple and Manikandin now fighting amongst each other, which is brilliant news for Krzysztof.
Damn, they're so close to each other, nearly the nose under the rear wing of the other guy. And now we're coming to the most slipstream place anywhere here in Melbourne Park. As Monty Congon goes for the move, he tries. He's got the inside. He's not giving room. No. He's on the grass. Oh, he keeps it! Oh my goodness. Oh.
Another scary moment for Mano Manikandan. But there, I don't know, I feel like Piziskalan maybe defended when Manikandan had the inside there, maybe was entitled to a little bit more space, and Manikandan found himself brushing against the wall, and now Maple up the inside of Piziskalan, who just barges into the side, and they tangle, and Manikandan just nips up the inside of both of them there. Wow, great presence of mind from Mano Manikandan, but Maple still side by side, and Piziskalan has to concede, has to let Matthew Maple through there.
Man, this is the group of three, you know, the fighting
death.
trio. Yeah.
You wouldn't want to tangle with any of those three, but Matthew Maple, after that spin, good to see him gaining some ground as well. And now next target, Manikandan. But Rotyov is closing. If this was Race 1, that would be reverse group pole right ahead of him. But unfortunately, Yannis Pano is only holding on to 15th, which in Academy in Race 2 only really means 15th. So it would be a point if this was FS2, but no points in Academy, sadly. So it's really pride they're fighting for down there in the top 15. Meanwhile, Caroline Harvick finally catches up to the retired Hyman and Alice Stone, so she will move into the top 20, which is good for her. As Beloni, that was a bit of a late attempt to get past Lopez, or was that Lopez who's just passed him, I think? Lopez has been flying 135s, whereas Beloni sort of 138.3 last lap. So Lopez could sneak into the top 10 here. He's got to make up 18 seconds, though, in 4 laps on Martin Reitberg. So that's going to be quite an ask.
The last was even a cut, I think, so that one wasn't recorded.
Rotyov has caught up to Pano then. And that's James Knox, who set a purple first sector right behind them. So this is a good little fight between these two front runners. Mixing it with Yannis Pano, who probably wouldn't have been expecting to fight these two, as Kurit sets another fastest lap of the race in the lead to extend his gap to Scarpelli, who's got Joshua Dexter 7 tenths behind, trying to sneak the runner-up spot from the Italian. Knox now launches an attack and is left plenty of space by Kurt Rotyov. I wonder if Manikandan could learn a thing from that. Knox now trying to go around the outside of Yannis Pano. Not quite enough overlap to pull that one up, but he does keep a little bit of commotion there. Pano gets a penalty, so here we go. It's going to be 3 wide, and up the inside goes Kurt Rotyov. James Knox is going to lose that position then. Down to 16th he goes, but he does at least clear Pano, who saw he got a penalty for cutting the track, and I think he's given up now because he knows he's heading for the pits. So there's no point fighting these two anymore.
It was great overview though from and then he goes off spinning.
Oh, careful, you won't reach the pit lane going that way, Janice. There we go.
Oh, sorry. That sounds so mean from us. It happens.
It is, yes. That's going to put Louis Smith and Julian Kerr into 17th and 18th, respectively. As now James Knox. This is one of the closest battles, but Joshua Dexter is, I think, a little bit closer to Scarpelli up front in the battle for second. Just half a second between those two. Here we go. Matthew Maple, though, trying to sneak 9th away from Christian Vazdar. How much will Vazdar defend? Leaves plenty of space on the inside then, so Vazdar will have to concede. And it's down to 10th for him, or is it? Because Maple just left the smallest door opening, and Christian Vazdar used a wedge to sort of just open it there, and now defends the inside into 13. Look behind as well for 11th place Martin Reitberg. And Maple spins again in this race. And gets collected. I think that might have been one of the... was that Reitberg who hit them there? Yeah, Reitberg in the orange car just went right into Maple. And here comes... That's not Junio Lopez, is it? That must be another lap car. That might be Harvick 3 laps down there.
And Rotyov has gotten himself a coupling penalty, sadly. So you also have a trip to the pit lane.
But he was defending from James Knox and trying to make up that. He was 8 seconds behind Beloni, so he gained 10 seconds in the last 2 laps or something like that, which is pretty insane. But unfortunately, all the hard work done as Maple comes into the pits then. So there perhaps was more damage to that car from the impact there with Reitberg. T-boning him essentially unsighted. Look at Joshua Dexter. 2 laps then. Try and pass Domenico Scarpelli, who's responded well. Pulled out an extra couple attempts here. So this is going to be tense all the way to the flag as he yellow in the final sector. Rotyov then serves the penalty, comes out in 15th, 7 seconds then behind James Knox. And Louis Smith nips through as well, actually. So good going from Louis, top 15. That's great from him, because we wouldn't normally expect to see him running quite that high.
He's taken advantage of all the chaos and just started from the position and didn't get into anything, and just, you know, even at the first big crash, he kept out of it, and so he's being, you know, rewarded with a troubleless run for him.
Yeah,
nice.
Yanis Pano pinning as well. Now, as we look at Dexter and Scarpelli, you've got to praise Kurit, because you can forgive him for just backing off, lapping consistently in sort of high 35s, maybe 36s, or whatever, but he's been pushing his best lap 1:34.9. He's actually been pushing for fastest laps to build a nearly 10-second gap to Domenico Scarpelli, and he's kept it within the track boundaries this time, avoided a penalty, so full credit to him. He's done everything right up front then since taking the lead. But now Rotjarv has got Louis Smith. What can Louis do into 13? Rotjarv is going to be all over him. He's got the inside into 13, and Louis leaves plenty of room. I think he knew that was a losing battle there. If it was the final lap, he might have put more of defense, but there was just too much time. He was going to be breezed past down the straight otherwise. So still going to be 16 for Louis Smith, with Matthew Maple 2.7 behind. That's probably going to be the main fight then as we approach the final lap. Joshua Dexter getting ever nearer, 3 tenths now behind Domenico Scarpelli, but does not get a brilliant run out of turn 12 there. So Scarpelli, he will gain a little bit of confidence from that, because the longer he's been able to keep Joshua Dexter behind, the more he knows all the places where Dexter will try, and he's wiggling a bit, Scarpelli, because he actually got a little bit offline through 13. And he's just trying to put off Joshua Dexter, saying, yo, go on, try and do a silly move. It won't work out because I've got you covered, mate.
Seems a bit weird, though. I thought
it was a bit
weird that he nearly he kind of parked the car there, and
yeah,
Joshua
this would be Scarpelli's joint best finish as well.
This is kind of a
reverse Suzuka. Scarpelli also got P2, beating Fahid Ahmed, but finishing behind Thomas Kutka on that occasion, as Sandak fighting back against Dan Fan. Remember, Dan was holding on to the lead earlier on, and now these two squabbling away in the battle for 4th. So Dan, a top 4 would still be an amazing result for Dan Fan, despite everything that's happened to him. Joshua Dexter, though, has not given up on P2, but nearly 12 seconds up the road to Kasper Kurit. So Scarpelli is just absolutely holding him up for all he's worth here, because that's his best chance of securing that P2.
Yeah, would have needed to be close here and have a perfect exit and, you know, counter steer the dirty air to get the slip
2 tenths behind Dan Fan, though. But that's probably where the battle is going to be closer. Here we go. Masic gets a good run then, as they come into the long back straight, essentially towards 10 and 11. Sandak will have to go the long way round. How much will Dan Fan defend this? It's the final lap, remember. 4th position up for grabs. Oh, well placed by Dan Fan. No opening for Masjid Sandak, as he just brushes against the grass. But here we go into 30, gets as close as he can to the rear wing without touching it, and may have been a little bit of contact. Sandak ran the outside, locks up, goes off track and into the wall, and that decides it. Dan Fan will take 4, but Kuritz now approaches the line and wins the reverse grid race. Redemption from that silly mistake that cost him the win in race 1. Kasper getting it absolutely right in race 2, and as a track race to the line, Scup.
Just keeps it from next
finish. And look behind, Dan Fan swerves to celebrate that 4th place. That was well earned there. Sandak knows he blew a chance there on the final lap. Under a lot of pressure, braked way too late around the outside as we see Lopez, despite getting caught up in the incident, the size climbed up to 11th ahead of Panasenko and is now right behind Martin Reitberg, who's damaged. He goes right round the outside, and Reitberg, a little tangle, but Lopez through into the top 10. Fabulous move, and a corner you don't normally see them performed at.
Yes, at least a lapped car.
Is that Harvick spinning there? Caroline doing the Caroline spinning top. No, the Caroline crosses the line. That must have been another Lime car there. And it's a car park at turn 2 here. Man. As Pano celebrates is maybe the wrong word, commiserates with the others down in 19th, for someone goes full throttle there right by them. This is not the greatest. This is sort of the driving standards you tend to expect from Academy, and that we saw on the first lap as well, it must be said.
I prefer my, celebratory differently, but if I remember correctly, it is quite difficult to, make donuts in first gear because the car's bogging down on trying to, get into a burnout. So that might be a
quite
bit
difficult
difficult.
to do anything in first gear in these cars.
Yeah. But yeah, looks like it was a blessing in disguise for Kasper Kuritz here, that penalty.
Maybe, or perhaps serving it on the final lap of race 1 was intentional to put him in a better spot here, but he really had to fight, didn't he, to get from 5th to 1st there. A lot of carnage, but it all went his way in the end. Scarpelli, 14 seconds in arrears, but he did just enough to hold off Joshua Dexter, who was 0.065 behind over the line. So Dexter gave it absolutely everything, but fell just short in the end. Dan Fan gets one of his best finishes in GPVWC Academy, just holding off Sandak on the final lap, who tagged the wall, just breaking too wide at turn 13. Manikandan, he drops to 6th at the end, just holding off Spinor in 7th. Iskaland gets a top 8 redemption after crashing out in race 1 ahead of Christian Vazdar, and Junio Lopez recovers from that opening lap tangle to the top 10 with a move right in the final corner on Martin Reitberg. Reitberg then will finish 11th. Good recovery after all that damage to just hold on to P11. Almost got top 10 as well. So Panasenko, he recovers to 12th. It's beating James Knox, of course. Beloni is 14th ahead of Rotjarv with that another penalty for Rotjarv. He'll be disappointed. Neither race really went to plan for Rotjarv. Louis Smith will take a very solid P16 ahead of Matthew Maple. Then it is Julian Kerr in 18th, Janice Pano 19th, Caroline Harvick 2 laps down, but does finish the race despite taking heavy damage on the first lap in P20. Then the non-finishers, Max Hyman and Alice Stone tangling at turn 1. Alice Stone was running in P14 as well. Hyman got through, then there was a tangle between the two. Ended with them both in the gravel and out of the race. Alice Stone will be kicking herself for that one. Daniel Benton-Reeder also retiring, along with Rizzo, Gazowski, Fernandez, and Zeeuw, all coming together at turn 6 on the first lap, with Fernandez and Zeeuw both kissing goodbye to their wheels. So, that's the race done and dusted then. Both races, of course. David, as we look at the interview room populating, your thoughts then on a very exciting race 2 and race 1 as well. I think 2 of the best races we've seen in Australia so far this week at least, but it is only Monday.
Yeah, yes, Captain, it's only Monday. I probably saw race 1 where we didn't quite see the fastest driver win, probably. Maybe a bit surprising. And race 2 with its starting chaos gave us some, unusual faces in like maybe the top 10. But it's all the more well by Dan Tyne and Lano Spina, for example, to hold on and not get involved too much into any incidents, and thus get themselves a good reward for their performances. So nice by them, to mention some names.
Absolutely then. So shall we transition then into the interview room, and who should we drag in first? Because Kasper Kuritz, who was right at the heart of the action in both races, winning the second one, of course. Let's drag him in and hear what he has to say. Kasper, so you were, of course, a tale of two halves for you. The first race going so well, and then one penalty at the end. Tried to save it on the very final lap and ended up dropping out of the top 10 down to P11. But in race 2, from 5th on the grid, you fought your way through to victory, and that must feel very sweet after the frustrations of race 1, Kasper.
Oh yeah, definitely. The race 1 thing was really idiotic. I lifted and stuff when I went out of the track, but the stewards decided to give me the maximum penalty possible, and by that I got the drive-through. And I thought maybe I can, in the last lap, maybe the line like maxes the ending point, but turns out the end of the pit lane was, so I lost a lot of time with that. But race 2 I is winning by like 14 seconds, I think, and getting the fastest lap really made up for it.
Yeah, you pulled a massive gap on Domenico Scarpelli. I even said it in the broadcast that you could have been forgiven for this backing off, coasting at home, but you absolutely pushed to get fastest lap there, which made that second victory all the more impressive there. Of course, you had a strong performance in Istanbul, finally getting your first win of the season here in race 2. So really showing what you can do in Academy, Casper. And of course, all those big teams in the big series, they'll be paying attention, won't they?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, really practice for this, and getting that first win, I hopefully is gonna carry the momentum forward, and just hopefully there's more to come.
Well, I've certainly been impressed for one. David, do you have any questions for Casper?
Yeah, we could ask again, like at Istanbul, when you were running slightly, less aero, less wings than maybe some around and kept Kurt behind you. Did you attempt this here again in Australia? Because it can be rewarding on a straight if you get slipstream, but could be difficult to pull off in the turns, of course, with the dirty air. Did you try that again, or did you go a bit more conservative this time?
From the start of the setup building, or developing, I guess, I really went for higher downforce because I thought that will pay off, but turns out it really wasn't in sector 2. So a day before, I was starting to figure out how to lower my downforce, basically enough for the straights. And then about an hour and a half before the actual qualifying, I was starting to test like really minimum downforce setups that maybe I can get them to work, but they didn't, and I just stayed safe with my current one.
Can I ask briefly? I
Interesting.
know it's a bit. Oh, sorry, David. About
Interesting.
race 1.
Yeah, I call it a bit the initial thing, the Josh Gillette effect, Edward. Sorry. But yeah, didn't higher wings probably a bit difficult. Like, it gives you grip, but at the same time, you're gonna lose so much here again. But interesting to hear. Thanks.
So, final question, Casper. Was it in race 1 when you were fighting with of James Knox, obviously for the lead? There was a lap. I think it was Rizzo that was being lapped. James Knox came upon him at exactly the wrong moment, and that was a really opportunistic move by you. I think into turn 3, if I remember correctly. And then James just completely dropped it behind you. So what was going through your head at that moment when you saw James being delayed? Do you think now's my chance, or you just think, well, hang on, let's see how this goes, and maybe there might be a chance here?
When I saw I think it was actually Rizzo coming out of the pit lane, I was like, okay, he's gonna probably get out of the way. Maybe he's gonna get in front of me and stop me. But not thankfully, but kind of in my favor, he did like slow down not Josh, Knox, and then into turn 3, he was kind of squeezing me into the back mark, and I was like, okay, here we go. And then saw the little gap at the right side, and was like, okay, I'm gonna go for it, and let's see what happens. And gladly it worked out, but yeah.
Yeah, certainly. So some excellent racecraft from you today, Casper. And I think we can let you go now finally and enjoy that first victory in Academy, the first of many, we hope.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. Shall we drag in then, I should say. Let's get the sentence structure right. Domenico Scarpelli then, P2 in race 2. So we're now joined in the commentary box by Domenico Scarpelli, who of course finished, I believe it was in the top 10 in race 1, and then amazingly got his joint ever best finish in Academy with a P2 in race 2, just holding off Joshua Dexter in a thrilling final few laps then. So Domenico, by the skin of your teeth, P2 is yours, and that must feel very, very satisfying.
Oh, yes, it is. I had really fun, especially race 2, because we all saw the turn 6 wall in the first lap. And luckily I nailed it somehow by passing on the close right, like on the right side of the track. But apart from that, I don't know what to say for the other guys that got caught in the incident. But
of course, because you started out. Oh, you must have started outside the top 15, didn't you?
No, in race 1 I got P3, almost P2 with a battle against James Knox. And then
it was, yeah, you were piling Knox right at the end there, weren't you? Yeah. It's been a long couple of races, I've forgotten already.
Oh, don't worry.
but so yeah, you must have started from sort of P2 13 or something on the grid. So yeah, you would have been
Yeah.
right just in the middle as the accident was starting. So
Yeah.
yeah, good spatial awareness there, because that was like a nasty incident. Took out like 5 or 6 cars essentially, possibly
Yeah.
more than that.
Yeah, probably a lot of cars got terminal damage or just bad damage to their suspensions or anything like that. I think I
And so the
saw a
rest of the
couple of
race, you were in that
Huh?
5-car train, weren't you? And then it sort of a couple of people spun in front of you, and then it was just you and Joshua battling for second.
Yeah.
And it felt like you just about had the edge over Dexter, didn't you?
We were in the voice chat together actually, but we were
Ooh.
fighting, all right. But at the end, they just proposed to do like a Ferrari-style Indianapolis finish. But it was cool to see, I would say. But
Oh, that was coordinated.
Yeah. I'm gonna take a picture and put that as my desktop next time. Because
Yeah, I think it was 0.065 I saw as you crossed the line or something like that. It was very, very close. What was the thing, Michael Schumacher? We tried to go even across the line and we failed.
Yeah,
So
we failed.
just a little bit less of a lift from you than from Josh.
I mean, we failed because of Menno. Because Menno told us that Koritz had a penalty, so we just started going flat until the finish line.
Oh, he was winding you up. It didn't.
Yeah.
Lightning doesn't strike twice. He's not that
Yeah,
silly.
he wanted us to fail our mission, and he did it, I guess.
Wow. You know, I was just praising Kuritz for building that 14-second gap, but now I know you and Josh were deliberately backing off just to
Yeah,
put on
to
a show
enjoy.
for us, I guess.
Yeah.
We did wonder why you were wiggling so much in front of Josh as well. It looked a bit comical in places.
Oh no, in the second to last lap, I actually almost lost the car completely in the Ascari. But it looked like I made that on purpose, I think. I don't know.
Well, when you say you did the last lap and tried to go side by side with him on purpose, it made me think the other stuff was on purpose too. But no, it wasn't all
Yeah.
the show.
No. Not everything, not everything.
But that must be satisfying though for you to beat Josh in that battle, given that obviously your drivers from Apex GP race against Josh and James Knox in FS2 this season. So a little bit of revenge there after they did very, very well in the first round of the season.
Yeah.
Anyway, any questions, David, before we let Domenico go?
Not really. It's just say the watchers will never forgive us. We fixed the race result, and we just
No, making a mockery of
Barry
Academy here
Kello us.
by manipulating these two.
Nah,
I don't recommend Mendo as a spotter for your races.
Ooh,
don't
I
recommend
don't
that.
have a spotter at the moment. I should probably pay Menno to do it, maybe.
Oh no, don't get Menno. He's gonna troll you in the race.
Oh, that's true.
So
Thank
many
Maybe get
jobs.
Caroline to do it. But anyway, thank you very much for talking to us, Domenico.
Thank you,
Your
guys.
best joint best result. Maybe that win will come one day. Who knows?
Yeah, it will
Best of
come.
luck for future races.
I lost it one time in Suzuka last season, in the last lap.
Oh, of
but
course.
it will come one day, I'm sure. One day.
Of that, I'm certain, my friend. So anyway, we'll let you go now, and I think next we're going to talk to Joshua Dexter. So we're joined now by Joshua Dexter, P5 or 6 in race 1, and P3 on the podium in race 2. So I think it must be somewhat satisfying for you, Josh. Your first podium of the season, but it was so nearly a P2, of course. We just heard from Domenico that you two tried to go as close as you could on the finish line at the end there. But a pair of very, very good races for you. Race 1, you were obviously you had Gazowski behind you for pretty much the whole way through. And then you were closing on Domenico, just ran out of laps to catch him, really. And then battling with Domenico again in race 2 as well. So lots of fun for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, with race 2, I was a little bit terrified at the start. I mean, I had a look at the replay. I almost got caught up in that massive incident. But I think with Domi, I didn't want to because we obviously both want to do well. Obviously been in the same VC and everything. But so it was kind of a thing of, because we knew we could get past everyone, or at least some of them, and there's a few spinners as well, which I think helped us a bit in the long run. But it was it was quite a good few races. And then
when you say everyone, I assume you don't include Kuritz in that.
Oh yeah, no, like Kuritz, and then I think James Knox as well. I thought was gonna, but I don't know what happened to him. Did he?
You got caught up in the massive crash that you and Domenico narrowly avoided. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think with like the reverse grid
Him and
people,
Junio were
obviously.
basically battling each other, which was quite fun to watch. I think. Oh no, Gino was ahead. He had the least bad crash and then got 10th on the very, very final lap.
But yeah, I think it was a good pair of races. Qualifying didn't go as planned.
Not quite. No, P8, isn't it?
Your P8 with a 1:35, so it was not as good my FS2 qualifying, but was a little bit salty. They got beat by Domi, but he's a really good driver, so I do like seeing him succeed. It's
Oh, that's good.
nice, I
Because
suppose.
I was just suggesting to him that he would be rubbing this in your face, but I'm glad to hear that's not the case.
Well, he probably still might rub this in my face, but no, it is really nice seeing him do quite well, because for some reason he refuses to practice sometimes, but when he does, he's definitely on the pace.
I should congratulate you for scoring points in FS2, by the way, because unfortunately my team is yet to do so. But I'm sure Joe or Fahad will crack it eventually. But yeah, I was just wondering, is doing those FS2 races in the academy team, Menno's team, of course, does that help you when you go back to academy? Does that make you feel you can get here with your head held that a little bit higher than the others who've yet to make their debuts in FS2 because you've proven you can do it against some really, really tough competition? Or is it don't change anything for you?
I'm not sure, because I think about this race, because obviously I did the FS2 race and I kind of just stopped on Melbourne.
It's good practice, if nothing else.
Yeah, I'm going to say, especially with the dirty air, I kind of predict it more than the academy drivers that haven't done it yet on Melbourne. So it's like, what I figured was I had a bad qualifying, but I think throughout the race, I definitely had some pace on the drivers, but it was still close between everyone, so it was still pretty fun. But I think it does give me a little bit of an edge, but nothing that's like out of this world.
Any questions, Abby, before we let Josh go?
I could say, as we both did FS2, like, was there any notable difference since, like, FS2, like, the grip caught you a bit out, maybe, so the time didn't get quite together or something else? Maybe a slight setup change that didn't quite pan out, or did you just run it like 1-1 and it just didn't quite work out?
I kind of just ran it 1-1 and it just didn't work out the way that I expected it to. So I think what I could have done better is just run a few laps throughout the week instead of just completely neglecting Melbourne. But I think overall it was more of a same setup, same goal, and then see how the race goes.
Hey, did you hear that? Domenico and him kind of sounded like me, refusing to practice or something. More or less. Well, no, interesting. Okay. Right.
Well,
thanks.
Congratulations, Joshua Dexter. A podium finish here in Academy for the first time in 2024. So we can finally say that the curse is broken in race 2 here. So congrats. I'm sure we're going to see you on the podium plenty more times this year. And of course in FS2 with plenty more work to do there.
Yeah, I hope so anyways. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, it was
Yep. Okay, we'll let you go then. Okay.
It's Menno.
When people repeat themselves, that means they've run out of things to say. Good old interviewer note. But anyway, as Joshua Dexter leaves, our last interview is waiting. So let's drag Kurt Rotjov in and hear what he has to say. Kurt Rotjov. So sorry for keeping you waiting, Kurt. A slightly tricky pair of races for you. I think P8 in race 1, despite a really solid qualifying in the top 5. And then race 2, also a very, very difficult one with you fighting James Knox and then getting that penalty that dropped you down, I think, ultimately in 15th position by the end. So obviously some very, very good pace, but you've got to walk away feeling a little bit disappointed given that better positions were possible there.
Yeah, definitely a bit disappointed with the results today, but I have to look on the bright side that I had a very good pace. I practiced a lot, so unfortunately it ended like this, but let's hope Kyalami is better, because I want to keep that podium streak going and get that hat trick of podiums.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, because you were on the podium in Istanbul, weren't you? I forget which race it was, but you're certainly third in one of them. So I was just wondering, because what went wrong really for you in race 1? Because it felt like you were just getting swamped by, was it Dexter, Gazowski, Scarpelli? They were just able to get past you. And then race 2, of course, you were sort of right in the heart of that collision, essentially, weren't you? Between like 6 or 7 cars, I think it was. And you were luckier than some because you could at least continue. But had to come in. There was like a train of wounded warriors is coming into the pits at the end of lap 1 in race 2, and you were unfortunately one of them. And but it must have been fun to fight against James Knox at least in race 2. So I imagine that's probably going to be a highlight for you.
Definitely, but race 1 just a rookie mistake like always I do. I got 30
hard for
from Lopez in turn 6, and I just lost the car and just went with my full right side into the barrier there. Just full on right side was destroyed, and I didn't have any pace anymore, so I just tried to bring it home. But race 2, you know, this is motorsport and you're never lucky. I guess I was lucky with the podiums that I got in Bahrain and Istanbul, but well, yeah, my luck has run out, it seems.
Happens to all of us sooner or later, Kurt. No need to be disheartened by it. And like you say, Kyle Army beckoning like a postcard for the next race. I'm sure we're going to be talking to you again in a much better mood on that occasion. David, before we let Kurt go, any questions for him?
I think we can compare to Kaspar before saying he went from initial more high downforce to, you know, even it down to less and then try to balance it. That for you, how was your setup building? Did you also first, you know, go with maybe more downforce then go down, or did you like go from low to high, or what did you do?
I tried all sorts of things, low downforce, high downforce. Finally, I decided to keep the high downforce to focus on acceleration and corners, not straights, and that's why I was a bit slow on the straights and losing so much time. But I guess overall base was really good.
Nice, yeah. Difficult, of course, with a car like gotten into it, and it's still difficult to get the balance correct. The car pointed right, especially this track here was not so easy. But this is interesting to hear from both sides and see how you guys approached it. So thanks again, and good luck already for next race.
Yeah, see you in Kyalami.
Yes, thanks, Kurt, and well done for getting to the end of 2 very, very bruising races in your instance. So, as Kurt Rotjärv leaves the commentary box, we are left to conclude the broadcast, essentially, David. So, another pair of very, very exciting races. Junio Lopez, sadly, we didn't get to speak to him, but a very unexpected winner, and how different could Rotjärv's day have been if that crash hadn't happened, because he was running right behind Lopez and then had tangled into the wall as he described. And then with Knox and then Kuritz, of course, are hitting trouble. And then Kuritz redeeming himself, having that amazing win in race 2. And then, of course, Dexter and Scarpelli having a bit of fun near the end. I love Joshua Dexter saying, "Oh, we knew we had the pace to beat everyone," and forgetting completely about Kuritz 14 seconds up the road from both of them. but
six guys that are, you know, at the front and having like the pace to be there, and it's going to be interesting over the rest of the academy season. Maybe, you know, they could always get snatched up by an FS2 team if the opportunity arises or presents itself. So we will see how they will go on the next few races. And I mean, we can already see that the next few have been added. So we will be going to Kyalami, Suzuka, and interesting pick, Road America in the United States. So it's going to be a rough track, especially there, even though it's, I mean, still 2 races away. It's going to be, I would say, a classic old track compared to, like, you know, maybe more smoothish surfaces from Kyalami and Suzuka. So will be interesting to see how, like, those 5 or 6, you know, and of course the rest of the field that will be racing, how they will get on there. And I will be looking forward again to see them race, just like I did tonight. And it was really exciting to watch today, especially probably also because it was an old street race, or you could say park race.
Of course, yes, Albert Park, of course, in downtown Melbourne. So we go from right next to the big lake in the street course with those walls so close to the track to the wide open spaces of Kyle Army next time out. Fast, flowing, fun, intense. It's going to be quite fun. But we congratulate once more our winners from race 1 and 2, Junio Lopez and Casper Kuritz. We thank you, David Jundt, and Remco de Zeeuw on the broadcast. And we thank you for watching, of course, the third round of GPVWC Academy in 2024. We'll see you in a few weeks' time, but don't forget to tune in to Super Lights tomorrow and Super League, our first round at Albert Park on Thursday. So don't miss either of those. I've been Edward Hunter. Thank you very much for watching.